This is a channeling from Adama on the nature of walk-in souls. Now, first, I would like to give the most broad and umbrella term definition of walk-in souls before we continue. And then I will delve into the many different types of walk-in souls and the reasons that one may undergo a walk-in soul and the symptoms of a walk-in soul, shall we say. So, first of all, a walk-in soul is a walk-in soul refers to any instance in which a being's soul in its purest form changes its nature throughout the course of their lifetime. And there are usually two ways in which this occurs. One way is by a soul completely replacing a different soul. So, for example, if one is born with soul A embodied in their physical form, and at some point soul A decides that it does not want to be in the physical form anymore, then soul B may take the place of soul A, and soul A may pass the veil and ascend to the higher realms, and soul B may take the incarnation of soul A's original body. However, soul A will no longer be present in the physical form at all, and soul B will be the soul, or the only soul that is present within that physical form from that point in time onwards. However, that being said, this only occurs on the level of the higher self in its purest form, and therefore the Ba of one's body, which is also where the Kundalini energy resides. However, this does not affect the Ka unless the walk-in soul has had previous incarnations on Earth which they have not fully processed. However, this is not quite as frequent as one would expect. For many of the souls who are incarnating as walk-ins on this planet have never incarnated on this earth before, and I will speak more as to why this is once we get to the symptoms of walk-in souls. Now, that being said, if the Ka of the physical body from the original soul A, has trauma or previous conditionings, then the walk-in soul may also experience the physical ramifications of these traumas and, shall we say, energetic injuries of the Ka. However, they may not have the mental wounds of these traumas. So indeed, it may be a bit more of a subtle endeavor to work through those kinds of traumas. However, that is quite common for the nature of these types of walk-in souls. For these types of walk-in souls usually occur during a near-death experience, or when a soul has reached its wit's end, shall we say. For if a soul desires so badly to not be incarnated on this earth anymore, it may indeed undergo a walk-in process such as this. However, this is quite rare for the For there must be severe threats to the integrity of the soul for a walk-in experience to occur, just because a soul does not wish to be incarnated on this earth anymore. So that being said, you may not just hope and pray, if you do not wish to be incarnated on this earth anymore, that a walk-in soul will come and scoop you up, shall you say, and take your place. For this may not occur if it is not in your soul's highest and best good. And this is, as we shall say, reserved as a sort of last-ditch effort to save souls from severe trauma on the soul level. For that is indeed possible, and it is usually possible through what is known as suicide, or the conscious taking of one's own life. Whoa, my voice got really gravelly there. But that being said, these kinds of walk-in occurrences may also occur during a near-death experience, and this is perhaps the most common instance of these walk-in souls occurring. However, not everybody who has a near-death experience may experience the walk-in phenomenon. For indeed, the vibrational frequency of Soul A must be close enough to the vibrational frequency of Soul B for the physical body to accept this change in Ba, shall we say. And indeed, this may be likened to a blood transfusion, for if you receive blood that is not from your same blood type, then you may reject this blood. And if you receive a soul that is either too high of a vibrational frequency or too low of a vibrational frequency for your physical body, then your physical body will also reject this soul. And this may be perceived as extreme nervous system dysregulation, and in even more extreme cases, extreme mood dysregulation, and perhaps even indeed mood swings or a manic or depressive state, depending on the nature of the instance. But that being said, that is the first way that a walk-in soul may occur, and that is, for a refresher, by Soul A and Soul B swapping places, shall we say. Now, the second way in which a walk-in may occur, and perhaps walk-in is not quite the correct term, however, the channel is, as far as the channel is aware, this term is used for this instance and phenomenon as well. So we shall call it a walk-in as well. So the second type of walk-in soul is when Soul A and Soul B merge together to create a new soul that we shall call Soul C. For Soul C combines both of the original souls in their entirety to work in synergy and harmony for the duration of their existence. So that means that even after one has finished their incarnation on this earth in this lifetime, these two souls will still remain meshed together in the one whole being that is now Soul C. For Soul C is just as whole as Souls A and B were while they were separate. However, Soul C does have a few added benefits, shall we say, compared to a soul that is not walked into in this way, and a soul that is just one soul by itself, as we shall call it. And although it may be common for souls to walk in this way in the three-dimensional earth, this is not common at all for souls to merge in this way outside of the three-dimensional earth. So if one finds that they have many galactic soul lineages, one possible cause one possible cause for this may be the combination and merger, shall we say, of two or more souls in this manner. However, this is not always the case for a multitude of galactic soul lineages, so as always, trust your intuition and consult your guides when determining your own galactic soul lineage and the reason for it. But that being said, some of the benefits that one may experience when their soul walks in, or when their soul is walked into in this way, is that they will now have the combined experiences of both of these souls. However, as this channel has recently learned, this is indeed a double-edged blade, as you say, for it is a blessing and a curse at times. For each individual soul has its own trauma and its own karma to work through. So in order for one to, shall we say, graduate from the school of life, they may have double the work to do if their soul is walked into in this way. But that being said, they will also have double the experiences to pull from to work through these karmas and traumas. So they may find they move more swiftly through these lessons than they did before they were walked into. Now, that being said, in some instances, one may also experience an increase in the potential energy of their soul. So the amount of energy that their soul is capable of, and perhaps even on occasion, even the amount of energy that their physical body is able to channel from their soul into their physical form and out into physical reality. However, as stated in previous channelings, this takes much focus and practice. And for more information on this, please consult the channeling on the higher and the lower faculties. But I digress. Now, as in the case of the initial type of walk-in soul, in this second type of walk-in soul, usually these souls are at their wits' end as well. However, death is not necessary and almost always not used in this instance. And indeed, it is merely a form of a soul contract, shall we say, between Soul A and Soul B before they merge into Soul C, for informed consent is necessary on both parts of the being. However, the one's incarnate consciousness may not be fully aware of it, as is the case with this channel, for she is a type of walk-in soul of this second nature. And however, despite her lack of knowledge of what was occurring, she did indeed experience a visceral feeling the moment that her souls merged into one. And this happened to her when she was 12 years old in 7th grade, walking in between classes to her locker. And as she was walking from the classroom to her locker, which took her probably about 20 or 30 seconds in real time, it felt to her like she was pulled out of her body about 6 feet behind and 6 feet in the air, and was watching herself in the third person walking to her locker in slow motion, and it felt like she was trapped there for quite a few minutes. However, time was irrelevant while she was in that space, so it's impossible to put a time limit on it. But indeed, she was the only one who experienced this, and was able to go on with the rest of her day normally. However, that experience did cause a bit of trauma to her soul, and for a while she was not able to astral travel due to her fear. But everything in due time, as they say, for she is now, as she would say, the queen of astral travel. I want it noted that I say that in like a cutesy Gen Z type way, not like I'm the queen, but like, you know. I say it ironically, that's what I mean to say. Sorry guys, Adama was making fun of me. But that being said, those are the types of walk-in souls and the reasons why they occur. Now, there is one other reason why a walk-in soul may occur, and this is because this may be because the walk-in soul, so the secondary soul, soul B, wishes to incarnate on this earth. However, the soul is having trouble finding a suitable motherly host whose body is physically capable of hosting the high vibrational frequencies of this high vibrational soul. And occasionally, if this soul is, shall we say, implanted into an embryo and the mother is not able to hold these vibrational frequencies, then she may indeed have a miscarriage. And if your mother has had a miscarriage either before or after you, for as we have said previously, time is an illusion, then this may indeed be a symptom of a walk-in soul, and it may indeed be the case that the soul that walked into your body or your soul is the soul that would have been your brother or sister had the soul been able to take root in the mother's body. Pardon the silence, the channel was asking a personal question, which I wanted to answer for her in the astral realm. Now, that being said, some of the symptoms of a walk-in soul are feeling an extreme change of attitude in your life, seemingly for no reason, occurring spontaneously. Now, this channel did not experience that personally due to the nature of her walking in being of the second type. Of the second type. However, those who experience the first type of a walk-in soul may have a higher proclivity to feeling that sensation. Now, after one experiences a walk-in, they may also become suddenly very clumsy in their body, for their walk-in soul may take time to adjust to the physical form. And this may cause other symptoms as well, such as nervous system dysregulation and digestive dysregulation, as well as, on occasion, even neurotransmitter dysregulation or hormone dysregulation, and the latter of which this channel has experienced personally. For the balance of masculine and feminine energy of the soul is the leading factor in determining, or is one of the leading factors in determining the balance of hormones in one's body. And if the walk-in soul does not have the same balance of masculine and feminine energy as the original soul does, then one may find that after the walk-in occurs, their soul, after the walk-in occurs, their hormone balances may alter. And this may be for better or for worse. However, it is purely dependent on each individual instance. Now, walk-in souls may also have a very distinct feeling of being in this world but not of it. So, for example, they may feel like they do not share the same thought processes as many of their peers or many of the people their same age, or they may struggle to find peers or people who think to the same depths as they do, for usually these walk-in souls are of an extremely high vibrational nature that is at least of the 5th dimension in the 6th density and above. However, it is quite rare for a walk-in soul to be lower than the 7th dimension. For many of the walk-in souls that are participating in the walk-in process, so the soul bees, as we have been calling them, the walk-in souls, the secondary souls, they are engaging in this process to aid Mother Gaia in her ascension from the 3-dimensional earth from the 3-dimensional frequency to the 5th dimensional frequency. And yes, merely the presence of these souls on Mother Gaia's surface will aid her in this ascension. However, if these souls wish to, they may fully embody their higher self and perhaps perform their own form of light work, be it energy healing or channeling, as this channel is currently doing, or perhaps just even holding space for others and being a kind person in public. And indeed, the ways to showcase love are limitless. And if you find a way that works for you, please never hesitate to engage in it. For the world needs more love at this moment, and she will never cease to need more love, as we will all never cease to need more love. However, that is indeed a slight digression. Now, one may find that their energy bodies also may slightly change during the walk-in process. So, for example, their causal body may grow in size, or it may increase its capability to grow in size due to the increased vibrational frequency of their soul. Similarly, one may experience their consciousness expanding after the walk-in experience. However, this is not quite very frequent because for many souls, the walk-in experience is quite traumatic. For not only is it unfamiliar and strange, but usually it is surrounded by either a traumatic event or a traumatic emotion. So that is either a near-death experience or suicidal ideation and a plan to execute. And the latter of which is the path that would have played out for this channel if she had not allowed her soul to be walking into in this way. However, I would like to make a quick note on the detriment of suicide to one's soul. For if one commits suicide here in the school of Earth and they kill themselves and take their own life, then they will have to start all over in the karmic cycle, and they will have gained a significant amount of negative karma. So if one finds themselves idealizing suicide, then they may reach out to their guides and know that their guides will do every single thing in their power to aid them in healing this ideation. For we in the spirit realm do not joke around with suicide, whether it is intentional or unintentional, such as the slow death of an eating disorder. For that is also considered suicide in the eyes of Mother Gaia. For you are intentionally not feeding yourself and not feeding her beloved child. And for that, she may experience many emotions, among which may be grief and sadness and anger. And for this, you may be stuck with a slew of negative karma that you will have to work through in further incarnations here on this earth, and it may even take up to 3 or 4 lifetimes to fully rid yourself of this karma, not to mention any further karma that you may gather along the way. So please not only heed this as a warning, but also as a life raft that if you are struggling in this way, of course, please always seek out proper psychiatric and psychological care from providers that you trust, but also know that we in the higher dimensions are at your dispense should you desire our aid in healing these wounds of your psyche or of the various other bodies where these wounds may reside. For usually the wounds that cause suicidal ideation do indeed run deep through many of the layers of one's body. However, that is a topic that we will dive into later when we discuss the energetic nature of mental illness and physical illness. For they do indeed have their own repercussions in the energy bodies, but that is quite its own topic and deserves its own day of honor, shall we say. That's not quite the right word, but oh well, doesn't really matter. It ain't that deep, except it is. Gotta love our polarized world, huh? Sorry to those to whom this does not quite make sense. As previously stated, the channel and I undergo a conversation in the astral realm, and occasionally she may speak snippets of it aloud in between the sentences that I am channeling through you. And of course, in this case, the word I is referring to Adama, not Marlena, who is the channel, but Adama, the being whom she is channeling. Now, as always, I would like to extend the invitation to those who are listening, and if you feel so inclined to engage in work with me further in this way or in any other way, you may feel free to ask me, Adama, to take you to the Jade Temple in Telos to either receive healing or lessons at your discretion, and you may know that the next time that you lay down to sleep, that you may come visit me here in Telos, or if not me, then another better suited guide here in Telos will assist you. Or perhaps guide is not a good word, but mentor is a better one. For we are also incarnated on this earth, however, we are of the 5th dimension and the 6th density. So our souls are of a higher vibrational frequency than our physical bodies are, for we have agreed to stay in this physical body to aid the earth in its ascension from the 3rd dimension to the 5th dimension. And this is indeed why I have chosen to work with Marlena. For her walk-in soul makes it easier for her to perceive of these higher vibrational frequencies of my consciousness, so it not only aids in our communication, but it also strengthens the communication, for she is quite the linguist as well and adds quite a dazzle of vocabulary. Not quite sure that's how we're supposed to use that word, but okay. To our channelings. But that is a digression. However, not fully, for if one is a walk-in soul, they may find that it is easier for them to connect to their higher faculties, and perhaps even to, shall we say, reverse the effects of the veil of forgetting. And for those who are not aware, the veil of forgetting is the facet of this incarnation that causes one to forget who and what they are when they incarnate on this earth. And it also causes them to forget their past lives and any previous knowledge learned, either in those past lives or in other incarnations or existences. However, walk-in souls, because they do not go through the birthing process, because they do not go through the veil of forgetting during the birthing process, and therefore their brain is extremely developed extremely undeveloped as soon as they are done going through the veil of forgetting. That is not the case for the walk-in souls. For the walk-in souls, when they go through the veil of forgetting, usually the brain is at the very least more developed, and in some cases fully developed, so it is easier for them to pass through again the veil of forgetting and remember who they are, since their brain has more neuronal connections that allow them to anchor in this remembrance in their consciousness. However, this will also largely depend on the bandwidth of frequency that one's consciousness is encompassed by, and the larger one's bandwidth of frequency that is encompassed by their consciousness, then the easier it will be for them to remember in this way, for they will have heightened access to their higher faculties. Now, previously I have mentioned that walk-in souls may experience a shrinking of consciousness when the walk-in occurs, for it may be traumatic. However, after this trauma is worked through, a walk-in soul may find that they have an increased ability for expanding their consciousness, again due to the high vibrational nature of their soul and the ease with which they may remember who they are. However, if you are a walk-in soul and you have no remembrance of who you are, do not fret, for these remembrances and memories will all come in due time. And for example, Marlena was walked into at age 12, and only recently, within the past few weeks, was she able to fully embody her walk-in soul in her physical form and fully remember all of the intricacies of that existence and her previous incarnations from that soul. But that being said, this is quite a lengthy process that occurs during the walk-in process, so hold space for yourself if you believe you are a walk-in soul. And if you wish to receive assistance in this, of course, you may always ask us here in Telos as well, but you may also ask your guides and your higher self for assistance in this too, and perhaps even Source. For as is the common phrase, ask, believe, receive. Now, one may also find that once they have been walked into, that their toroidal field may not only alter its vibrational frequency, but also alter its stability or its strength to match their higher self. And this may be for better or for worse, depending on the nature of the walk-in experience in combination with the soul that is walking in / the soul that is being walked into. And as with one's consciousness, this may be thrown off kilter and be for the negative at first, but as one processes the walk-in experience, the pendulum may swing in the other direction, and they may find that their toroidal field and Merkaba are stronger and more stable than ever after their walk-in experience has been fully processed and integrated. For after one has been walked into, their entire soul or their entire Ba may not fully come into their body immediately due to the high vibrational nature of the soul. And if this is the case, one may experience what could feel like downloads of the soul, where more parts of the soul are being added into the body bit by bit as the body becomes more adapted to the nature of the new soul. However, this is not very frequent, for, as I have said previously, usually the soul that is chosen as the soul B or the walk-in soul matches quite closely the vibrational frequency of the original soul. And this is possible. Now, for those of you who are wondering why this may be possible, considering the high vibrational frequency nature of the walk-in soul that is because many of the beings who are experiencing suicidal ideation on Earth at this moment are starseeds whose home planet Earth is not. So when they are on this earth, they do not experience the same resonance and connection that one who has had many lifetimes on this earth may feel. And these starseeds may feel extremely homesick at times. And this may be one factor towards their suicidal ideation. However, when one lacks connection here in this human incarnation, they may find that all of their negative emotions are amplified. For human connection in this incarnation is essential to one's health. But that being said, I would like to note that all walk-ins are starseeds, but not all starseeds are walk-ins. So a starseed may be born into one's body, and for example, Marlena's initial soul, her soul A, was a starseed. However, it was not a walk-in, and then her soul B walked into her soul, and her soul became a walk-in soul of the second nature because the two souls combined and merged. Now, if you are curious as to whether or not you are a walk-in soul, you may, of course, see if this resonates with you. And if it resonates with you and you have had a near-death experience, then it is most likely that you are a walk-in soul of the initial type. However, if you experienced the sudden change of attitude one day where you just woke up one day and felt like you were going to take life by the horns and show it who's boss spontaneously, then you may be of the second nature. However, be aware that this second nature is not quite as common as the first nature, and being a walk-in soul in general is quite rare, for as I have said previously, it is considered a last resort in saving a soul from detrimental harm. But that being said, walk-in souls are quite an interesting phenomenon and a unique phenomenon, and they may provide many outliers in patterns that one will see across the earth, not only at this time, but among future times and previous times as well. And we will continue to reference walk-in souls in their outlier status and examples of their outlier status in continuing channelings, in proceeding channelings. And indeed, there have already been examples made of these outliers in previous channelings as well. However, that is all that we have for this evening, and as always, it was a pleasure. Toodaloo!